Satoshi tried to make a coin and he unveiled like coordination technology for all of us. And we were put in a situation, you have to come up with governance right now. And kind of the only thing that we could think of were parliaments, right? Let's put parliaments on chain. Let's like everybody write a little bit of text, and like put it forward and everybody has to read it, understand it and vote on it. It's not ideal. And like the second step it led to apathy. And the second step that we did was to create delegates. We need like specialized people, right, to read this and like vote on behalf of people that like are actual owners and stakeholders. And there's like a discrepancy. There's like different interests at play there. Like the delegates have also their own interests to balance, and it kind of gets tricky. And I think it's a little bit tragic that the main like governance processes that we have are kind of originated in papers.
GM. Welcome to what's going to be another fantastic episode of DevNTell. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast hosted every week, allowing founders, hackers, and anyone in between an opportunity to come on the show and showcase their product. And today I'm ecstatic to welcome Bogdan, who's the founder of WillWe. So if you didn't know, WillWe allows for real-time, uncompromising governance without proposals or delegates. So if you stick around for today's episode, you'll see Bogdan give us an overview of WillWe, why it was built, and how you can start using it today. All right, let's get into it. First, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode of DevNTell is brought to you by our friends at Arbitrum. Arbitrum is a technology suite designed to scale Ethereum. You can use Arbitrum chains to do all the things you do on Ethereum, but your transactions will be cheaper and faster. With over 3.8 million ETH saved, 1.69 million active wallets, and over 1.7 billion total transactions, why would you want to settle for any less? Get started today by exploring Arbitrum's comprehensive docs and tutorials linked in the description below to help you get started launching your next dApp today. Now, on to today's show.
Hello,
Jim. Welcome to the show, man.
Hello, everyone.
Pleasure to have you on. Of course. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on the show. Today's topic, we're going to be talking all about governance and how you have seemingly optimized the governance game, and I'm really looking forward to hearing that. But first, if you don't mind, would you like to give a brief introduction about yourself in case folks who are watching today are familiar?
Sure. I'm Bogdan. I'm from Romania. I went to school for philosophy and politics. And out of philosophy school, I kind of realized that there's a tension between governance and the internet broadly. There's all kinds of protests that are organized, for example, online, and people have this preference, this need, this intuition of always being able to put pressure on government more and more and be more interactive and have higher and higher expectations. And there were all kinds of movements from Arab Spring that was organized on Facebook and all that kind of like tensions they manifested in the real world, speeding up to today when you probably get more information that is relevant to the future of geopolitics from Donald Trump's feed than the normal regular boring channels, right? So in all that like kind of environment, I started learning coding because one, I wanted to do my own ideal political theory, but being at this intersection with the internet, like technology is a better medium for that. So what I did, I learned to code, and I learned to code. One of the first applications I did was a liquid democracy app to govern things, and it had the social media feed anyway. But that's my primary interest in coding, is empowering people and kind of in a way saving a little bit democracy to be empowered more and more by the technology, which is tricky and didn't turn out perfectly over the years, but we're still working on it, and that's what I hope to be doing today here as well.
Amazing. Right. And I guess, are you a self-taught programmer, or?
I have been writing code for about 10 years. Nice. In terms of Web3, I did, for example, Consensus Academy School. So I have a diploma that says Certified Ethereum Developer. And I did, for example, the Secureum Bootcamp in the first edition, Epoch 0. like smart contracts auditing and stuff like that. So it's a mix of both, but mainly self-taught. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And like I mentioned at the start, today's topic is going to be governance. But just in case some people listening today aren't familiar with the topic, do you want to just give a high-level overview of what governance is in the first place?
Yes. Governance is when a group of people come together, put some resources together, or have something at stake, and they try to give some direction of where that organization, that abstract, like common body, like is going. My definition that I like to say about organizations is that organizations are membranes that move forward, and like the forward is what the governance is for. How you determine that forward, what's the processes and everything that's entitled there. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. For example, we kind of know each other, but we don't know each other very much, right? So like if you think about like developer DAO at its beginning, right? One of the things we had was an NFT, and then an NFT like guaranteed membership in the Discord and participation in governance. So like that NFT, for example, was the memory, was the access badge, that you got into your organization. Same thing happens with like companies. You have the turnstiles, you put the thing, right? That's kind of the membrane of the organization. And the governance typically is top down, but like with DAOs and with this substrate for ownership primarily and coordination, we can try to like make structures that are bottoms up and like kind of true to their ideals. So that's what we're gonna go into today, because we were kind of put in a position to like, cool, we have this blockchains, right? Satoshi tried to make a coin and he unveiled like coordination technology for all of us. And we were put in a situation, you have to come up with governance right now. And kind of the only thing that we could think of were parliaments, right? Let's put parliaments on chain. Let's like everybody write a little bit of text, and like put it forward, and everybody has to read it, understand it, and vote on it. It's not ideal. And like the second step to like, it led to apathy. And the second step that we did was to create delegates. We need like specialized people, right, to read this and like vote on behalf of people that like are actual owners and stakeholders. And there's like a discrepancy. There's like different interests at play there. Like the delegates have also their own interests to balance, and it kind of gets tricky. And I think it's a little bit tragic that the main like governance processes that we have are kind of originated in papers, in parliaments, in like the defaulting thing that we could think of, because we couldn't like really think of anything else. So like the case that I'm going to make like today is that so organizations are membranes that move forward, and like I'm gonna kind of argue that coins in themselves are organizations, and they are kind of perfectly DAOs. They have a membrane who owns a coin, who does not, and like their interaction with them is direct and unintermediated. Anyone can like change the distribution, the disposition of the coin. Now the coin doesn't really have values, doesn't like want to run away and do things, but like in principle, like coins do fulfill like those basic like dynamics and necessities.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess this is the perfect segue. I can bring up your screen if you want to go through your.
Let's do a little bit the slides, talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
So like I did this presentation. I should have changed the title. Sorry.
It's all good.
It is all you need for governance. The sense that like coins, basically, coins are fungible, and fungibility is all you need because I mean it's a paraphrasing, like attention all you need. That's fashionable these days. Because when you have some quantity that you distribute, and that's kind of like the energy, like the blood that powers like the organization, the body of the thing, it benefits a lot from seeing things in relative terms. Like you see how much people do work, for example, and you also see how much they get remunerated, and that thing like you can make like objective value judgments in a way, because it's relative and it's not interpretable. It's not in a lot of documents and so that's one of the things of okay. I kind of mentioned this, right? Satoshi wanted to make a coin and he made the blockchain like an entire ladder dynamic for coordination. And I think like coins in themselves are very powerful. I think everybody being able to make a coin for anything is very very powerful. I think we're still grappling with what that means and like how much it empowers people. Okay, so I spoke the coin, right? The coin being a DAO and like people being able to act directly on the disposition of the coin. In the same way, like in the real economy, if you think about if you are able to visualize all the transactions that happen in an economy, you'll be able to get a high level of a thing that is alive, right? The coin is alive. It operates somewhat permissionlessly because you don't need like anyone's permission to like pay for bread and like get goods and services, and that like energy recirculates in the economy. Even if you have like a central issue, there's still some anarchic coordination mechanisms that happen irrespective of what like the central bank does. Ideally, you don't have a central bank, and that's what anyone can do, basically like creating a coin. But there's this concept that butchers, brewers, bakers are sequences is quite an interesting one, because as opposed to proposal-based governance, like when you work with proposals, the sequencer is an artificial process that ultimately like settles to the blockchain. So like there's an upper level like sequencing mechanism for the will of the people, let's say, while coins and like protocols you interact directly with the thing. So why I did this, like I started working on this about 3 years ago. And I talked with someone that's like a delegate in a DAO, like at a conference, and like he told me one of the first validations I got, he said that everybody hates proposals, and like, yes, that makes sense. I should really do this and try to experiment and find some kind of like alternative mechanism. So proposals are skeuomorphic functionally their laws. I mentioned they're kind of like parliaments. We even have delegates. I mean, it's not totally fair to say they're parliaments, but they're not very far also. Leads to apathy, re-centralization, parliamentarism, collapses to corporate bureaucracy. You have budgets, that have to be approved quarterly or so on through proposals. So it's like a budget in a normal organization. If you look in, I don't know, Arbitrum or Optimist DAO, there's still like all kinds of metrics, and these are important because you do have to have some metrics. You need to have some kind of processes that create accountability, and like these are what's best out there so far, and there's a lot of people that are working hard on this, but ultimately it reproduces things that already have, and like we need, I think, to do better things that are native on chain and are like increasingly permissionless and decentralized and so on and so forth, because otherwise it's kind of a lost opportunity. Paper devices can't on chain. Wild Man Can Jump, that's actually not a stereotype. It's the title of a movie from the 90s, but it's also a stereotype. Paper devices can't on chain and parliamentarism can't internet. So my kind of vision and what I'm tending towards is, as you mentioned, instant governance. I don't know if you wrote that or I did. I was surprised. I probably did it, but I was surprised because it's interesting and it kind of captures what I'm trying to do. I want the members of like the collective to be able to influence the direction and the body of the organization directly and in an unintermediated way. For example, this is Lacrimaria olor. It's one of like the biggest unicellular organism, and it's kind of it was inspiring to me because this is one cell. I mean, we could reproduce at least one cell in like our Turing complete like computers. And we could imagine like all members of the organization like zapping the body like a structure that like keeps the organism together to make it move and like chase food in that direction and so on. So organizations are membranes that move forward. What forward is what governance is for. Forward determinations can be permissionless and instant. So for example, with a coin, when you interact directly on chain, you just like transfer it or stake it or whatever, or you even burn it. So it's direct. It's again not intermediated. There is no process. There is no bundling of like a text to be sent to the central like governance processing unit, like the brain, and that kind of things happen in nature, in the economy via coins, and in bodies. Typically cells like communicate electrochemically or whatever with the cells that are nearby, and like that's how the coordination happens. There's no like all cells speaking at the same time to the brain. What is WillWe? WillWe is an attempt at trying something new. It is systematizing order for instant, permissionless, disincentivized governance. So Systematizing order is basically a structure in which you put a coin and you distribute it. And when that thing happens in public, it creates a lot of signal and it creates sense making, and you get an idea of what people want. And what people want and what the organization wants and does is where it redistributes resources, as in any big company, right? That's why people fight on budget. For instant permission, the instant I covered a little bit, right? It's directly, you action directly the body of the organization. You don't like have a sequencing like layer to it. It's permissionless. It's on chain. It can be permissionless. It is in this case. There is some permission things in the sense that you can create. You'll see the systematizing order has nodes, and each node has membership conditions. And in order to act within that node, you need to fulfill the membership conditions. Disincentivized. This is interesting. Most DAOs today, they start with a treasury. They start with a bunch of, for lack of a better word, like gold in the middle, and it says, "Come on, guys, start coordinating." And that's also like might create some different kind of incentives because there's an opportunity there for extraction. This is disincentivized in the sense that in order to action on the body of the thing, there's two things you can do. You can do work. You can create a node within a node, I don't know, let's say marketing node, and you create a node there and you start, I don't know, producing graphics. And in theory, if your work is valuable for the survival of the thing, you'll get paid. Or you can influence the organization by allocating resources, basically by paying others for your work, for their work. And in that way, when you like signal your preference, that also creates a social signal and like feedback loop as work progresses, as the quality you build, reputation, so on. Like there's a build up there. This is interesting. That's what kind of like makes it also real time, because I can start like I can create a node over there. I can start doing work if my work, or I can start from an idea, and if my idea sounds potentially good. It is in theory sufficient to get, I don't know, $1 of allocation from every member or something like that. But in time, as I work on it, as I develop it, as there's clearly work done and like has potential, and that in order to keep me working, because I'm advancing whatever the organization is doing, in theory should higher levels of compensation should come, and like this can go up or down, and like decreasing allocations can also like be social signal. Look, I don't believe this is possible anymore, and that could also be like the prompt for a conversation. So governed by funding or working when needed, legible and intuitive. When you have all these coin allocations that are permissionless, direct, so on and so forth, they can be summarized in a chart. So you could in theory see all the functioning of the organization and how you can also like play it over time, I guess, like see how the chart evolves like over time, but can kind of follow the entire body of the organization of that coin. You can watch it and see, like, get in time an intuitive feel of in what stage it is, how it is distributing resources, what is like the velocity, the metabolism rate of the coin, so on and so forth. I think that that kind of summarization is very, very powerful, and would be a very good product. It's currently is not that intuitive because it takes time to make intuitive things, but you'll see what I speak. I'll show you the chart. It could be better, but it's the concept is there. So primarily what does it gives coins organizational competencies. Yeah, very briefly, distributes fungible units of arbitrary value signals for communal configurations. It accommodates plurality in the sense that anyone can create basically a node in context that they are member. They can also get kicked out, but they can create a competing node. Yeah, it has this legibility in the sense that every signal like is visible and can see it and replay it and understand all the power dynamics within the structure. Empowers individuals to create and continuously commit to political and economic outcomes. What I said about, right? You can like start from a small thing and like get this like validation and commitment loop that builds to something like big. The very big point about like this coin-based and allocation-based governance is that who gives how much for what to whom is of value and of interest to any part of the organization, and that this is in all organizations. If your company like starts giving like half the year budget to buy Dogecoin, you would be a little bit worried, right? Or if you work in an organization and the next day like everyone's salaries are known, that might also create some problems. So the thesis is that on-chain fungibility can encode, enforce, and articulate power relationships with unprecedented clarity and efficiency. Vitalik a few days ago said this thing. I mean, there's a clearly a need to rethink, to try new things. He said, burn down the legitimacy of existing paradigm, reopen the window, like be more willing to think about things from scratch. I would say like multi-level structures are good. I am much less fan of a direct democracy than I was 15 years old. Okay. This is multi-level structure. It's new. Yeah, we're doing things. These are some screenshots, but I'm going to show you in the app. And one of my also inspiration, there's D-Hawk, that is the founder of Visa, has this like he puts it in an interesting way, why we're doing this war into DAO. Without question, the most abundant, least expensive, most underutilized and constantly abused resource in the world today is human ingenuity. The source of that abuse is the mechanistic industrial age hierarchical domination concepts of organization and the management practices they spawn. This guy did a lot of work on organizations that's like very little known, and I think it's kind of a shame. He's kind of in a way like the actual DAO father, but like yeah, it's very cool. He also like the founder of Visa and brought together like competitive organizations to collaborate on things, and that's also very good. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the app now. The app is at willwe.xyz or app.willwe.xyz. I'm going to use like the alpha thing because it's a little bit different. It's the same but different. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to log in. And if you have any questions, that would be, yeah, because some things might be confusing, and please interrupt me. Okay, so this is like the homepage. Okay. Here there used to be a social feed of what the user does in actually what users done in all the coins that you are, all the nodes that you are a member. I currently disabled it because it's a lot of code. It's not like very good code, and it's very expensive to run all the like the indexers and so on. So I temporarily disabled it. But yeah, it has this feature. It will have it again soon. So these are all the coins that I have in my wallet. This is on base. Yeah, if I click here, there's nothing because there's no activity here for this coin. But if I go out like the protocol coin, there's stuff here. Or let's do cow. Okay. So this is like the node. This also is like the feed that used to be here. It's currently paused. So this I was speaking about like the instant understanding over what the coin does and the kind of the intuitive summary that you get. So these are all the nodes like for this is some like play stuff that I've done with someone, and these are all the nodes. So all these nodes are derived from the token address. So it works with any ERC20 token on base currently, and if you go at any random like coin, you can create here and create a node. So when you create a node, you enter like the name of the node that you want it to appear in the chart. Characteristics, these are, for example, I don't know, link a GitHub repo, or actually let's do a node. Let's do a node here. Let's do it let's do it here. Add node. Let's do it DD characteristics. Let's say these are characteristics that are specific to that specific node, in the sense that it could be like a Twitter account, like how to contribute to that node, like what are the rules, whatever like data that is useful to being like a good member in that node. I don't know, like what's .com. Membership conditions. These are conditions that you need to fulfill. The address with which you are signed on need to fulfill in order to be able to mint membership in the node. So this could be any RC20 token or any NFT, or actually any you need to be a member in another node in the structure. I'm gonna let it open for now. Inflation rate. This is like one of part of the core mechanism of how like the entire economic structure becomes coherent, because there's some ways in which, in theory, like you could like extract value and so on, but like each node has an inflation rate. This inflation rate is governed by the node members proportionally to their shares holdings. Each node has two tokens, has a deposit token and a share token. The deposit token is fixed. You deposit one Will token, you get one share of Will token in that node. But the Will tokens like inflate over time. So when you burn the shares, you always withdraw less than you have deposited. And the difference that is created in that inflation is distributed forward to under nodes, to nodes that are derived from this node, or endpoints, or like, to be more like clear, like members that have done work for that node. Let's do the inflation rate of 2.7 per day. Yeah. Okay. Okay, created the nodes. Is it this one? No. Let's go back to the root. Initial core, we created here DD. So about this chart. So in theory, I'm not sure if it's not working that well right now. It's working somewhat well, but like the size of like the chart, for example, is determined like how much value is in that node. The intensity, the color, for example, could express how many members are there, like how active. So that's what I was referring to, right? As Lucky Maria, or like the thing was moving, like you could like see everything that's happened in the entire like coin. Okay, so we have a node. What we can do here, we can create subnodes. The same process is exactly the same process. We can distribute value. This means the inflation across the entire path and like redistributes it to this node and to the other nodes, or maybe you can have to call it from the other nodes. I'm not sure. Okay, deposit, you mint like tokens into this node, like you mint shares, or you can mint from the parent because the value is netted. So like the deposit token into one node is the shares of the parent, and like there's this continuous recursiveness. So you can mint. You can also withdraw or burn. When you burn, like the reverse happens, but you always get less because of the inflation, right? That stays as value for the nodes. Okay, we have movements. These movements are kind of like traditional, like DAO governance. These are executed by some execution engine, kind of like safe multisigs. They're different. They're not safe multisigs, but kind of like that. And there's a value majority, like decided by the majority of shares in that node, or agent majority, like agents. Yeah, and you have a, for example, token transfer or custom call, like any on-chain like call to another contract. Signals. Let me change this to have some children nodes to show. Let's do this. Okay, so signals. Signals is where you redistribute value to under nodes. Actually, there's more here. There's membrane ID, right? So like you can reconfigure like the access conditions and the identity of a node. You can rename it. You can change like the docs, the characteristics. You can change the membership conditions. You do this by a majority of shares owners. So I can express a preference for changing the node like inflation rate and the description. So others need to also express that same preference, and when it's over like 50%, like the characteristics and like description and so on changes also. Same for the inflation rate. I express a preference for let's say we need to spend things faster to accelerate like progress for like this kind of like activity, right? Increase it, or maybe we need to be more conservative, decrease the inflation. And redistribution to under nodes. So there's different to that node. These are nodes that are normal nodes, and this is an endpoint. These are like external endpoints that belong to a user, and that's where you redistribute value to them. You direct share of the inflation that is created. This inflation is created per second. Here is calculated per day. This is the total value of the node. This is like the inflation rate per day. I think this is per second actually. Okay, available shares. How many of these are currently available to be redistributed to other nodes? In theory, like all this, like redistribution, redistribution, recalculation can be done like in almost in real time, but like only it's you have to click the button to do it. Okay. So again, at signals, that's where like here I express like my preference. I want 81%.2 of like this inflation to go to me. And yeah, it needs to add to 100% for obvious reasons. It makes things like easier in the contracts. Yeah. Okay, and I submit the signals, and these signals, like how you calculate how much the nodes get, is also proportional to how many shares you have, right? So it's a little bit it's not easy to do this, but I've done it. It works. Hopefully, it works very well. But it gets quite complex. Here you'd see like different signals, like all the support, like for change for membrane or inflation, and so on and so forth. There's also a chat here to chat with other members of the node. It probably helps. And this is the endpoint. This is like, for example, the user, the worker in that node that they control this smart contract. That's also kind of like on-chain like smart contract, and they get tokens redistributed to them, and they can like burn them and extract like the core like token that was deposited in the entire thing. What else? There's also a tab here to like compose, to create a new ERC20 token, like this, redistribute to others, for example, or to define a new membrane to in order to be able to propose it, to change it, the membrane of a code. And that's been a lot, like, and it is more or less all of it. I'm not sure if I think it's fine. We're almost like we've gone a little bit too long, but I guess it's fine.
No, yeah, that's totally. Yeah, I guess just to review, basically, when a person is creating one of these nodes, it's essentially just some sort of initiative or proposal, and then the when you're doing the sub nodes, that's basically different aspects of related work pertaining to that proposal, correct?
Yes. But given that it's permissionless,
Yeah.
you cannot really curate it. All of it is on
Right.
chain. So in theory, anyone can, this is about onions and someone makes a node about garlic that is nested, you cannot stop that.
Right.
These are kind of like autonomous zones to create context and organize the activity. They're like kind of also, you could say they're sub-DAOs, but like yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then on that point, if there's a DAO out there that wants to start operating with this model, like how can they get started with WillWe?
They can go to willwe.xyz or app.willwe.xyz and like start using it. The issue with that is that I would be impressed if they manage to do a good job, because it's a lot to learn and understand, and like the dynamics, they appear somewhat simple, but actually under the hood they're fairly complex. But I would encourage anyone to do that. In terms of the product itself, what I plan to do is open source it very soon, like all of it. And what it needs currently, it needs actually contributors. It needs people that find this kind of experimentation useful and want to contribute it and like dog food it. And the project itself will also dog food it. So like the coordination will be done like using it. That's the idea and the vision. And I hope that happens. To be honest, I'm a little bit like burnt out as well, but like I'm willing to like to push it and contribute it and so on. Yeah.
Awesome. And I guess is there anything that you'd be willing to share around the roadmap for WillWe? Is there anything else that you want to be implemented or are planning to implement later this year?
the first thing is to redo like the social feed thing. What urgently needs to be done is some documentation and like a clear specification, because that's also very much needed. And every improvements related to the UI, to the user experience. For example, making this look better and actually like convey a lot more information, because there's a lot of information that can be conveyed here, and it's not that clerical. It doesn't do a good enough job. Other work that could be done, but we need the specification for that, would be smart contract auditing. The contracts, there's some people that looked over the contracts, but they're even if there's only like in theory one contract and like maybe a half, and like the code is not that much, but like I iterated so much over it and like removed and added stuff that it's hard for me, even for me, to keep track. Sometimes it surprises myself, right? I need to look deeper to understand what happened, Yeah. So those would be things that would be cool, like for people to contribute, and I hope that happens. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Unfortunately, we've come to time. But Bogdan, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And how can people keep up with the progress of WillWe? Like, is there a particular account or something they can follow, or reach out to you perhaps for questions?
Yeah, primarily reach out to me. Follow the Twitter account of the project as well. I'll probably post there when it's like open source. Follow me, get in touch with me, I guess. I don't expect like to be 1,000 people that are in line, like I can handle the volume, so do that. At Parseb, WillWe-XYZ for the project, and I think that's it.
Amazing. Folks, definitely give Bogdan a follow. His X account, as well as the WillWe X account, is in the description below. So definitely go check that out. And yeah, with that, I just want to say thank you again, Bogdan. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on the show here. And really excited to see how WillWe progresses. And folks, hopefully when Bogdan does open source it eventually, that folks watching today will contribute to that.
Next 3 to 5 days, no more than 5 days.
There you go. Awesome stuff.
Thank you everyone for the attention and time. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And hope everybody has a very happy Friday. Happy 4th of July to our American viewers. And we will catch you back here next week for more DevNTell. Right on. Have a good one. Cheers. If you enjoyed this episode of DevNTell, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. Till the next one, cheers.